Okay, so we all know the classic to-do list, right? It's our go-to for getting stuff done. But what if I told you there's another list, a sort of anti-to-do list, that's maybe even more powerful when it comes to hitting your goals?
So let's be real. Is a to-do list really enough? I mean, you can write study for the big exam or finish that project at the top of your page. But just writing it down doesn't magically create, a force field against all the distractions that are just waiting to pull you in.
And this is where things get really interesting. It's a simple idea, but it's kind of profound. Your to-do list tells you what you have to do. But a not to-do list, that's all about what you absolutely positively must not do. They're like two sides of the same coin for sure, but one of those sides, that's the real game changer.
So, to really get why this matters so much, let's dig into the big, underlying flaw of just using a to do list. And the best way to do that, let's tell a quick story.
Okay, so meet Mike. Mike's got this huge, life-changing exam coming up. You know the kind I'm talking about. It could really set the course for his future. But there's a tiny problem. Mike really, really loves video games. So he does what any of us would do, right? He makes a plan. He grabs his notebook, and right at the top of his to-do list, he writes, study. Simple, clear, he feels super responsible. What could possibly go wrong? Well, here's what goes wrong. He sits down, hits the books for maybe a solid 30 minutes, and then thinks, you know what? I've earned a short break. So he fires up his favorite game. And that short break, as you can probably guess, turns into 3 solid hours. So let's look at the scoreboard for day 1. It's a total disaster. 30 minutes of studying versus 3 hours of gaming. His to-do list, all those good intentions, they just didn't stand a chance against a temptation that powerful.
Okay, so day 2. Mike knows he needs to try something completely different. And that's when he stumbles upon the simple but honestly transformative power of the not-to-do list.
He just writes down one single sentence. But this one sentence changes everything. He writes, no video games until 7 p.m. See the difference? It's not some vague goal like study more. It's a crystal clear, non-negotiable rule. And the impact? It's instant. The very next day, the results are completely flipped on their head. We're talking 3 hours of focused studying and 0 gaming, at least not until after his 7 p.m. deadline. Just by defining what he wouldn't do, he automatically carved out all this space for what he absolutely had to do. Now, Mike's story isn't just about video games and exams. It's a perfect example of a much bigger idea at play here. Let's call it the power of subtraction. What this shows us is that success isn't always about adding more good habits to our plate. A lot of the time, it's actually about subtracting the bad ones. See, when you get rid of a negative behavior, you don't just leave an empty hole. You create this open space, a vacuum almost, that a positive habit can just naturally rush in to fill. And once you see it, you start seeing this principle everywhere. You want to get fit? Yeah, you got to exercise, but what's maybe even more important is avoiding the donuts. You want to wake up early feeling refreshed? Sure, set an alarm, but the real key is avoiding that bright phone screen right before you go to bed. So often, what you choose not to do is way more important than what you choose to do. Okay, but Mike's story doesn't just end there. He crushes his exam, of course, but his success, well, it leads him straight into a brand new and much more subtle kind of challenge. I like to call it the freedom trap. So, fast forward a bit, Mike aces that exam, launches his career, and becomes a freelance software developer. He hit his goal. He's his own boss now. And with that comes what pretty much everyone thinks they want. Total, absolute freedom. He can work whenever he feels like it, from wherever he wants, no boss, no set hours. I mean, that sounds like the dream, doesn't it? But here's the thing about absolute freedom. It creates a whole new kind of problem. There's this little voice that starts whispering in the back of his head, saying things like, it's fine, you can always get to that later. And we all know what later usually means, right? It means maybe never. This is a classic psychological trap called the paradox of choice. When you are free to do literally anything, you often end up doing, well, nothing. You get totally paralyzed. And what's worse is the guilt that comes with it. It just hangs over you, ruining your work time and your free time. So Mike pretty quickly realizes that the same exact tool that got him through that exam can also solve this new freedom problem. He understands he needs to get liberated by setting his own limits. So he creates a new kind of more sophisticated not-to-do list for his work life. Rule 1, only work from the home office. No more working from the couch in his pajamas. Rule 2, never work past 7 p.m. This creates a hard stop to his day. And Rule 3, no internet, TV, or games until 5 p.m. And you gotta understand, these aren't punishments. They're guardrails. They're designed to protect his freedom. And the change is just so powerful. He goes from feeling paralyzed and guilty all the time to feeling focused and, ironically, genuinely free. By setting these limits for himself, he didn't lose his freedom at all. He finally actually gained control over it. And look, this is about so much more than just getting more work done. This is about peace of mind. Now, when 7 p.m. rolls around, he can actually shut down his computer and relax without that nagging little voice saying, "Hey, you should be working." He knows he's earned his downtime, so he can truly 100% enjoy it. All right, so here's one last really crucial idea to chew on. Sometimes the biggest things holding you back aren't obviously bad things like video games or Netflix. Sometimes they can actually be good habits. Things like, organizing your email inbox or cleaning your desk. But if those good things are keeping you from your single most important work, then at that moment, they're just another form of distraction. And so that leads me to a final question, just for you. Take a second and really think about your own life. What's the good habit? What's that seemingly productive task that's actually just getting in the way of the one thing you know you need to be doing right now?